Hello guys, this is CodeNCode and this is video editorial for the problem longest palindromic substring taken from Leetcode. So the problem, as the name suggests, is this. You are given a string S and you have to find the longest palindromic substring, a substring of S which is also a palindrome, and we have to print the substring. And of course the size of S can be as large as 1000. So if I show you one of the examples, the example is BABAD, so the output should be either BAB or ABA, because the maximum 3 length substring exists in the input, which is also a palindrome like BAB or ABA. So you can print any of them, that doesn't matter, as long as the substring that you print, which is that should be a palindrome and also the of maximum length. So if you this problem will be solving using dynamic programming, and I have already taught you in the dynamic programming lecture series part 1 lecture 13 how we find the longest palindromic substring. In that lecture we have only seen how we find longest palindromic size of the longest palindromic substring, but here we have to print the actual string, which is not that difficult to come up with. Now if you haven't seen that lecture, go first watch that lecture, because we will be using the same approach to solve this problem. And since I have already explained it there in that lecture, so it doesn't make sense to explain everything again and again. So I'm assuming from now on that you are aware of longest palindromic substring approach of dynamic programming. So let's continue. To solve this problem, of course, we'll be creating a DP array of size n+1 cross n+1, where n is the size of the input string. Here the input string is of size 5, so we have taken an array of size 6 cross 6. Now if you remember from the previous lecture, lecture 13, we fill the row 0 with 1. First let me explain. DP of ij actually represents, DP of ij will be either 1 or 0. 1 represents the substring of length I ending at position j is actually a palindrome, otherwise it would be false or 0. So every length 0 substring is actually a palindrome, so that's why the 0th row is filled with 1. Every length 1 substring is also a palindrome, that is why the whole first row will be filled with 1 as well. Now since there is no 2 length substring in the input string which is palindrome, that is why the whole row 2 is actually 0. You see, BA, AB, BA, AD, there is no length 2 substring which is actually a palindrome, that is why all of these are 0. And this is just simple implementation of longest palindromic substring approach that we have studied in lecture 13. So you can see in row 5 we are having 0, which means there is no length 5 substring which is also a palindrome. In row 4 we are having 0, which means again in the original string there is no substring of length 4 which is palindrome. In row 3 we are having 2 ones, which means there are 2 substring of length 3 which is also a palindrome. So you see, it is 3 3, which means length 3 substring which ends at position 3. So this is length 3 substring BAB which ends at position 3. So BAB is a palindrome as suggested by cell 33. Cell 34 is also 1, which means the length 3 substring which ends at 4 is also a palindrome. So you see, ABA is length 3 substring which ends at position 4. So the maximum length substring is of 3. We can either print substring which ends at 3, or we can also print the substring which ends at 4, doesn't matter. So we can print either BAB or ABA, doesn't matter. So we will first we will be building this DP array. Let me show you that. So here you see, first we are taking the size of the string and then creating a DP array of size n+1 cross n+1. These are to store the result. These will result L is of course the length of the result, and this will store the ending position of the substring which is palindrome. So these two will basically indicate our answer. So here you can see this and this, both of them can be our result, because these are the maximum length palindromic substring available in the original string. So either this or this can be our answer. So to retrieve the original string, all you have to carry is actually I and j, that's all. If you have ij, that is 3 3, then you know the first 3 represents the length of the substring and the next 3 represent the ending position. So 3 3 represents length 3, substring which ends at 3. So this is what these two will be storing. This will store the length and this will store the ending position of our answer. This will be our result. Initially it is an empty string. Of course, if n is equals to 0, because there can be an empty string in the input, I do not know why. So if the input is empty, then simply return the empty string, right? Otherwise, of course, what we are doing here, we are initializing the 0th and the first row to be equal to 1, as explained in the lecture 13, because every 0 or length 1 substring is actually a palindrome. Now running a loop from 2 to n and j from I to n, and if the last two character matches, if a string of j minus I, because the jth character in the string is stored at index j minus 1, right? The fifth character is at index 4, that is why j minus I, and this would be the first character. This would be the first character and this is the last character. So if the first and the last character match, and of course also in the dp of I minus 1 j I minus 2 j minus 1 is equals to 1, that means the inside string is also a palindrome, as explained in the lecture 13, then dp of ij would be 1. And since dp of ij is equals to 1, so I'll be updating my length. So we are first checking for length 0, length 1, and then we are checking for length 2. If in array in row 2, if I am finding any place which is 1, so I'll be updating my L to be 2, and then we are going for 3 and 4 and so on. So result of RESL will contain the longest length available, and this would be representing the end position of that substring. Otherwise it would be 0, of course. So finally this would represent the length and this would represent our ending position. So if the result comes out to be result L is equals to say 2 and result N comes out to be 5, that means the substring which is of length 2 and ends at 5, that means the substring from 4 to 5. That is what we have to print. So from I is equals to result minus length plus 1 to result N, this whole substring will be our answer. Taking substring out of a string, you can also use substring function in C++, but what I did, I simply ran a loop from result n minus L plus 1 to result n. So basically one by one, each character I'm inserting the result and finally printing the result. If you run the code, yeah, it is accepted and now submitted, and we can see, yep, accepted. So this was how we solved this problem. If you have any doubt or query, of course you can ask in the article that I've created for this course. The link to the article I'll be giving in the description of the video. So this was all for this lecture. If you have any doubt, if you have any suggestion, of course you can write down that to me as well. Thank you guys for watching. Until the next video drops, keep coding. Thank you.